My name is Nandi Charles, and I'm a English to 10th grade teacher at Pasco High School. And this is my first time teaching as a licensed teacher in the state of Texas. I absolutely love helping people, and I love making purposeful impact in people's lives. Right out of college, I was about 21 years old in the city of New York. At the time, I had a degree in journalism, and it was very difficult for me to break into that field. I went ahead and signed up to be a substitute teacher because my parents were teachers, and I figured this might be a good start for me to see whether I like the classroom setting and if education might be a good field for me. So I settled on being a substitute, and after about 6 months of subbing, my experience was not very good. I didn't have what it takes to run a classroom properly because I was very fresh out, didn't have the skills, and I kept being called to go to schools where they had a lot of behavioral problems in the classroom, kids who were involved in a lot of gang activity, and it was very difficult for me to manage these children, and that pretty much scared me out of the field of education. I left the state and I went into various government jobs. I worked for DHHS, I've worked for the city of Baltimore, I've worked for the Department of Revenue in Kansas, I've worked for corrections both in Nebraska and Texas. And at the end of it, I was like, I really enjoyed my journey as a civil servant, but I feel like I have a void and there's a fulfillment that I need to fill, and I feel like I can only do that in education. I can clearly remember it like it was yesterday. I was a supervisor at DHHS. I sat at my desk one afternoon and I was like, what am I doing here? I feel like I've done all that I can to help my community, but I have a bigger calling and I need to help children. And something just told me, like, you need to go back to school and get your teaching credentials and go into the classroom so that you can make a difference in the lives of a child. And that's exactly what I did. I started making the steps that I need to make in order to get to that level. And that's where I decided I'm gonna go back to school and get my master's in education so that I can learn what I need to learn to be a better teacher in the classroom.
That was
Downstairs in the house, right?
Yeah.
I was like maybe like 8, was that like 9 months or a year and a half?
No, we were about a year and a half.
A year and a
Probably
half?
2 years.
Oh, okay.
Here you were younger.
From a very early age, I realized that my parents' job was very critical in the development of children. Because my parents were my first high school teachers. The school that we were at in the Bahamas in Moores Island and Abaco was very tiny. I was in the classroom with them while they were teaching the students. The kind of progress that the students made in the classroom, I observed that. And so I knew that these students who maybe 2 years earlier before my parents came were settling with just being a fisherman or a hairdresser. And many of the students who they were able to touch in that way, they went on to do things with their lives.
When we moved there, we were not placed in the city. We were placed in this little island called Moores Island. And they said they needed teachers and they needed someone to impact the community. So that's where we went, and we took Nandi with us. We found about 1,000 people. We found this one school, and each class had about how many kids? 8 kids, or
about 10.
10 kids in the class. And the students, the way the students were taught, some of it we weren't very satisfied with because we came with a whole wealth of experience from the city, and we were like, what's happening here? And the principal said, listen, you guys are going to create a curriculum and enrich my kids. And he put us into a book room that we could find whatever we need to enrich these kids. So the two of us decided you were teaching math and social studies, and I taught religious knowledge and English.
During the time we were there, we were given responsibility to show progress and improve the kids on the island. And we did that. Some became doctors, some became lawyers, some became engineers, some became math teachers as well. Yeah. So I know that I impacted them a lot and they moved on. So those are some of the things I look at. Some of them, the environment from which they came weren't encouraging. So when they come to school, they get the encouragement there. And they get a push, and they develop the zest and the zeal to move forward.
My parents were very instrumental in me and my sister being successful in life. They always implemented the importance of education in our lives, especially my mother. She learned that from a very young age. When her father passed away, every one of them had to go to school to get an education so that they can get their finances together to better themselves. So that was always something that she pushed us to do. My parents were very great examples of working hard for what you want and staying focused and dedicated to your craft. And so it was very easy for us to move into careers as well because we have good examples around us. They've been very instrumental in helping me out with my kids. We work together, and I'm very thankful to have them.
Pascal is about 2,300 students currently, and we are an urban school right there in the center of Fort Worth, right beside TCU, so we have a wide variety of students. Working at a school as large as Pascal has some unique challenges. As principal, I get to walk the halls every day, but I still see students that I don't know well. Nandi, she brings strength of age and experience. She brings a rich history, and she brings a diverse flair of culture to our classrooms. She reminds our students that people who are new can contribute. And she's new to our area, and she's new to education, and she contributes to the lives of those students every day.
Nandi is a great mom and a great friend. I've seen her interact with the students and other teachers in the hallways, very professional and very interested in forming her craft. My students have said that she's a very intense but very good teacher, and they love hearing her talk. They love her accent. She gives you a challenging amount of work, which is what we're expected to do. We're expected to bring rigor, and they are challenged by the fact that she actually intends for you to do it.
So the kids who say that I'm very intense, they're pretty much saying that I'm strict. And yes, I am strict. I'm strict in the sense that I hold them accountable for the expectations of my assignments. I hold them accountable for not delivering on just bare minimum because I know what they're capable of. These are smart kids. Some of them have been out of school for an extended period of time due to COVID. So I want to be able to have them catch up to the level that they're supposed to be at. In my classroom, 50% of the kids are EL students, so English limited or English language learners. But the majority of the kids are of Latino background. It's a nice blend. So for me, I feel like they have a lot more interesting stories about their family than people really realize. So our school is very much focused on getting our students college ready. And if they're not getting ready for college campus, they're getting them ready for military. We have a very good JROTC program, and we have a center in our school which offers college material to the students. They can go in there and do homework. They can go in there and get help with filling out applications. So we're really trying to work on getting all those students who might potentially be first-time college-bound students in their entire family to focus on college and get there. The good thing is I have worked in so many different government agencies. It's been really a blessing for me. I feel like that additional experience I've had has really helped me to come to the classroom with a breadth of experience that is very unique. So I've been able to bring some newer technologies into the classroom, and we share these things with each other. Sometimes they're learning something, sometimes I'm learning something. I absolutely love being a teacher. It is one of the most interesting professions I've ever worked in. It's one of the most rewarding professions I've ever worked in. I can't think of a job where I feel more satisfied. There are days when it gets tough. There are days when I'm irritated by sometimes my students not doing what they're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, I think about what is the purpose of me being here, and I just get back into the gist of it, and I'm like, you know what? We have students in my class who are happy to learn, who are happy to come to school, and I cannot give up. Like, I have to come back the next day and do my job.
Nothing that's good and the right thing to do just comes easily.
There's never been a time that we need educators more than we do today. We need teachers who care about students, who have seen life in its fullest and can bring some of that to the classroom. There's nothing wrong with a 22-year-old right out of college. But there's something to be said about a 30-year-old who's had a little life experience before they walk in the classroom. And we need those kinds of people right now.
Nandi kept looking for professions where she cared for others. So eventually she came right back full circle to the point where she's caring for kids. So I'm so proud of her.
She is really committed to helping these kids. And you cannot be a good teacher if you don't have that love and commitment for the profession and to help kids. You see, when you have the nature call, there is nothing you can do to avoid it. You may try to defer, but total avoidance is not a possibility. You have to be there where you're supposed to. It's like an ordained position for you.
For anyone that's thinking about going into teaching, even if it's later on in life, I would say that they should definitely consider it, because teaching is a very rewarding career. You might sometimes be afraid of the things that you see on TV or in classrooms where kids might be acting a certain way. Trust me, if you have the right program like at KSU, you could definitely learn the skills and the techniques that you need to be an effective educator. You know, it's not for the faint of heart. It's for someone who is dedicated, actually want to help children, and are very authentic with their craft.